What's happening there, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Blake's Take with yours truly, Blake Neiman. And it has been a whirlwind of a college basketball season, but it finally came to a close in New Orleans after the Kansas Jayhawks were able to outduel the North Carolina Tar Heels in a championship game to remember. Similar to how this season has gone, the national championship game was a roller coaster ride full of lots of ups and downs with turning points every which way. Kansas was looking like it did against Villanova, being hot right from the jump with a 7-0 run to start the game, fooling many of us, including myself, into thinking they were going to run away with this game as well, and that the Tar Heels were still hungover from the all-time high win over Duke just 48 hours prior. But the Tar Heels still had plenty left in the tank as they were able to regroup and dominate the rest of the first half, outscoring the Jayhawks 40-18, being ruthless on the offensive glass, which allowed them to score 18 second chance points. This put Kansas in a 15-point hole at halftime, which is a position likely this team never saw itself being in. But despite the unusual circumstances, the Jayhawks remained faithful and kept trusting in one another that they would be able to find a way to climb their way back and get back in this game, relying on their experience against Miami in the Elite Eight. The only other time these Jayhawks trailed at halftime in this tournament was against the Hurricanes, and as we saw, that game was a tale of two halves after Kansas obliterated Miami in the second half despite trailing in the first. This was a similar storyline in the national title game, as the Jayhawks flipped the switch coming out of the break and looked much more like the high-powered transition team we have been used to seeing all season long. The Jayhawks went on a 12-1 tear in the early minutes of the second half, thanks to a collapse by the Tar Heels in which they were forcing jump shots, committing turnovers, and overall just not doing a very good job of taking care of the basketball. By the 10-minute mark, the Jayhawks had evaporated the deficit and the momentum was back in their favor. However, North Carolina, despite blowing the lead, was still able to compete with Kansas, staying neck and neck with them down to the wire thanks to a big boost off the bench by Puff Johnson, who gave everything he had to keep UNC going. And when I say everything, I mean everything. He literally vomited on the floor in the game's closing minutes from exhaustion. This game was anyone's for the taking in the final minute, but it was another ankle injury to Armando Bacot in a critical moment that allowed David McCormick to take advantage of the mismatch and be able to get two big buckets in the paint during clutch time. With the game on the line, the ball once again was found in the hands of Caleb Love, who in the desperation fadeaway heaved up a shot at the buzzer, but it would come just short of the basket, which ended UNC's Cinderella run as an 8 seed and made for an embarrassing moment after blowing the largest lead ever in a national championship game. Despite coming up just short of their ultimate goal, this UNC squad still should be incredibly proud of the way they were able to completely turn around their season in the month of March. To be able to take down your arch-rival Duke Blue Devils in both Coach K's final home game and final game period ever is a feat in of itself. Not to mention, they were able to knock off the defending champion Baylor Bears, another Final Four team from last year in UCLA, in addition to taking care of the unprecedented St. Peter Peacocks, who had a Cinderella run of their own, all en route to a national finals appearance. This team has nothing to hang their heads about as they laid it all out on the court and made for a magical run that will be remembered for the years to come. But as for the champions, Kansas proved their 1 seed to be true and lived up to being given the title of the best team in the country given the way they performed in that second half. To be able to stay so poised and when the odds are so heavily stacked against you speaks volumes about the character and leadership of this team. That all starts from the top with Coach Bill Self, who will join now an elite club of coaches who have won multiple national championships. The victory is also historic for the Kansas program as a whole, as it is their first national championship since 2008 and their fourth all-time. The NCAA tournament had some amazing stories and memorable moments, but in the end, it was the Kansas Jayhawks who will walk away dancing. Hope you all enjoyed all of the college basketball season action this year. I was so excited to be able to cover all of the games, Not so much here locally because the Bees were a disaster, a complete mess, and the Ducks weren't so well off either as both of them missed the tournament. But nationally, it was so entertaining. The tournament was fantastic. Talk about great stories in St. Peter's and, of course, UNC and then the champion Kansas. And then, of course, it would have been Coach K. That was a great run as well to the Final Four. Obviously, wasn't able to get the job done in the national championship, but nevertheless, it was great stories all around, great basketball, lots of competitiveness, and of course, madness. Hope you all enjoyed that. I will see you all in the next one. You can catch all of the Blake's Take action here on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and or YouTube. Subscribe and like to stay up to date, and I hope you all have a great day.